This podcast is sponsored by the online course, Intro to Psychology, with Dr. Bo Bennett, PhD. Uncover the secrets of the human mind and transform your life at introtopsych.com. Start your journey today.
Psychology of Happiness in Relationships, Insights from Psychology 101. Discover how psychological concepts like trust, emotional connection, and communication build happiness in relationships and why understanding psychology matters. The Psychology of Happiness in Relationships. Hey, so I was thinking about something that's kind of universal but also fascinating. Happiness in relationships. Whether it's with a partner, friends, or family, the question always comes up. What really makes us happy together? I mean, it's not just about spending time or sharing interests, although those help. There's a lot more beneath the surface, and psychology actually gives us some pretty cool insights into what drives happiness in our close connections. As a psychology professor, I'm always drawn to how psychological concepts help explain everyday experiences. If you've ever taken an intro to psychology course or thought about psychology theories like attachment, social exchange, or emotional regulation, you'll recognize many of these ideas. But even without formal education, these principles shape how we relate to others and ultimately how fulfilled we feel. Let's start with something basic but super important: emotional connection. In relationships, whether romantic or platonic, feeling emotionally connected is huge. Why? Because humans are wired for connection. We're social creatures. Studies show that during interactions with loved ones, when we feel heard, understood, and valued, our brains release oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. This neurochemical literally helps us feel closer and happier. So it's not just fluffy talk. There's a biological basis for why deep positive connections boost happiness. Now, you might wonder, what actually builds that emotional connection? Well, the psychological theories behind this often point to things like trust, vulnerability, and reciprocity. Trust is the foundation. You can't grow a happier relationship without it. When you trust someone, you're more willing to be vulnerable, which means sharing your authentic self, including fears, dreams, and imperfections. That openness invites the other person to do the same, creating a loop of mutual understanding and affection. Another key factor? Positive interactions. Research in Psychology 101 often highlights the importance of the ratio of positive to negative interactions in relationships. A classic study by the Gottmans found that happily married couples have a ratio of about 5 positive interactions for every negative one. That could be as simple as a compliment, a laugh together, or showing gratitude. The little things add up, reinforcing the emotional bank account that keeps happiness thriving. But relationships aren't just about maximizing happiness, they're also about managing conflict. Here's where emotional regulation and communication skills come in. Psychology education teaches us that how we handle disagreements makes or breaks happiness long term. It's not the absence of conflict, but whether people can express frustration without hostility, listen without defensiveness, and solve problems collaboratively. This ability often separates relationships that endure happily for years from those that end up strained or shattered. Interestingly, the psychology of happiness in relationships also emphasizes balance between independence and connection. People who are happiest with their partners tend to maintain their individual interests, friendships, and goals. The best relationships support growth rather than smothering it. This concept aligns with the autonomy-supportive models we study in Intro to Psychology classes, where healthy relationships foster both closeness and individuality. And it's not just romantic relationships where these psychological principles apply. Friendships, family ties, even work relationships benefit from these same dynamics: trust, positive interactions, communication, and respect for independence. It's the psychology topics we all live through but don't always think about explicitly. If all of this sounds intriguing, you might consider jumping into a formal Intro to Psychology course to get a clearer picture. For example, the Intro to Psychology course by Dr. Bo Bennett on the Verversity.com platform covers these psychological concepts and much more with real-life applications. It's a great way to understand human behavior in relationships and beyond. Enroll now to understand the science behind human happiness and improve your own relationships. To wrap up, the psychology of happiness in relationships is about much more than just good times. It's about building emotional connections through trust, positive interactions, and healthy communication, while also respecting each other's individuality. When you get those psychological ingredients right, happiness in relationships follows naturally, and the better we understand those concepts, the more capable we are of creating fulfilling, long-lasting bonds. So next time you're chatting with your friend about why a relationship feels great or why it's challenging, you'll have some Psychology 101 insights ready to share and maybe even impress. Relationships aren't always simple, but understanding the psychological foundations gives us a powerful toolkit to navigate them with a little more grace, a little more happiness,